Canada's GDP inched up in February. More on the latest data from Stats Canada. Let's bring in CTV's Tony Grace. Tony, the numbers are out. How do they look?
Right, Jamie. Good morning. Well, this is a little bit slower than what some economists were expecting, but nonetheless, it is another slight uptick in Canada's economy for the month of February. The economy growing at 0.2%, and they've now adjusted the January figure down a little bit from what it was before, 0.5%. So that's 2 months of, relatively slow growth, but there were some particular points to point out, and that is the transportation and accommodation sectors. Rail transportation was way up, air transportation way up. The accommodation sector, they're seeing more overseas travelers to Canada. Mining, oil, and gas extraction was way up for the fourth time in 5 months. So those were some of the big uplifting points. The drag is the utilities sector was down a little bit, and manufacturing was down slightly as well. So, Jamie, overall, Canada's still dodging a recession here. We've had a couple of months here and there over the past year where there was negative economic growth, but not that 2/4 of negative growth that would be required for a technical recession. So slowly, these little numbers do have a bigger story to tell, Jamie.
Well, these are major economic indicators, and I'm curious what kind of impact you think that these numbers could have on interest rates down the road and the Bank of Canada's decision to possibly lower them.
Yeah, and the date everyone's watching, Jamie, is June the 5th, that next Bank of Canada interest rate decision. There are going to be some policymakers who see today's data as bolstering the case to start lowering interest rates. BNN Bloomberg, our colleagues, talking to a lot of economists, most of them still think we're going to see a 1/4 percentage point reduction in the interest rate on June the 5th. Remember, it's been at that 22-year high for well over a year now of 5%. So some are going to argue, some policymakers are going to argue that restrictive policy, the interest rates where they are right now, is not leading to a recession. Others will argue that there's no risk to keeping it there a little bit longer, but a majority still thinking we're in line for a 1/4 point cut, Jamie, on June the 5th. We do still have the next inflation numbers to come out, though, and those will be in May, so those will help tell that story as well.
That's CTV's Tony Grace. We appreciate that update. Thank you.